Hello everyone, it's your girl, Scribe Not Scribble, here in the throes of political change. Despite it not exactly being election season anymore, in neither America, France or New Zealand, which doesn't seem to be exactly stopping Trump from trying to run in 2024, we are still back on that BS and right dead in the centre of it all. So, other than name-dropping Trump, of course, can anyone seriously believe he's trying to quibble over the official legalities surrounding the American cherry pie? Like, has anyone been keeping up to date with what's been going on in the New Zealand politics, though? No? Didn't think so. So, basically what's happened, for anyone who doesn't live under a literal rock down under, yes, that rock is Australia. I don't know why people seem to keep confusing us with them. Well, New Zealand's just recently announced that from 1st of April next year onwards, they're going to be raising the minimum wage. Again. Like, can you imagine if this was all some April Fool's Day joke? Like, can you just imagine? Because it's on the perfect day and everything. They've given us the time to prep for it, but like, imagine if by the time April the 1st, 2021 came around, good old Jacinda Ardern and the rest of the government were all like, psych, gotcha good, we're not raising the New Zealand minimum wage, we're actually going to be placing restrictions on price gouging and the endless raising of costs. And it would be so great. I've covered this so many times on my channel now. It's just not funny at this point because as long as you keep raising the minimum wage and stuffing about trying to pass laws on how to justify it, companies are going to turn right back around and go, lol, you thought? We're just going to raise all the costs of living and then some. Because that's literally all they ever do. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot keep raising the costs of minimum wage and expect it to ever do anything. Like, honestly, I don't know how many times I've even ranted about this, because, like, I get the government means well, but what do you actually think is going to happen here? And be honest now. Regardless, though, I thought today might be the perfect time to have a little word about the state of things, because from New Zealand blindly raising its minimum wage every so often, to the state of the endless brutality in America, to even all the homeless kids living underground in the Ukraine because, you know, their government keeps stealing their ID papers and they don't have any money to come with the bribes to get their own IDs back. It's becoming endlessly clear to me that we seem to be having a very clear communication issue at present. Like, I was even talking to one of my poor American friends about this, you know? Because honestly, between all the police brutality, the unfair murders that literally anyone seems to be able to make up any excuse whatsoever to get away with scot-free over, to even like the heightened states of male aggression. Like every time I read about something happening over in America where another girl's been shot dead because she didn't want to give out her number, or some incel hiding away in a basement somewhere reckons that every guy deserves their own government mandated sex slave, but honestly, it absolutely blows my mind as to why this is even allowed to go on in the first place. When I was asking my friend about this, I made the mistake of asking why it just keeps continuing, because, you know, that was more than a little bit insensitive looking back on how I worded things, and she actually had to explain to me that the value of a human life over in America basically doesn't mean anything at all. Like, sure, apparently on paper it supposedly does, and I even had another friend telling me it's not like that everywhere apparently. But it's like stuff that would get majorly protested over here in New Zealand and like maybe some other countries. It would probably make the news, if nothing else. It's like just another Tuesday or Wednesday over there. And I'm probably sounding really ignorant and insensitive. I'm so sorry, but I'm starting to see this more and more, you know. And it's not just in only one place or scenario. It's really alarming how as more and more time goes on, the value of a human life, it just seems to be worth less and less. And this is happening everywhere. Like, does anyone remember the 80s, or like maybe the 50s was back when it was, but apparently a guy could work 20 hours a week, have his home paid off, his wife and a bunch of children, and he never had to worry about anything. And now here in today's world, I've seen ads with my own cursed eyes for internships where you have to pay them a certain amount of dollars just to be tolerated per hour. Meanwhile, over in Hong Kong, they're actively kidnapping people to sell their organs on the black market. You can look up the persecution of Falun Gong, it's an actual thing. And it's just like, we're giving these governing systems too much. Like, they actually think they could do anything they want to us and get away scot-free. Like, does anyone remember back when the people who were appointed to power actually meant to be caring for their citizens? Like, actually holding responsibility over them, and not just treating them like some unruly animal that requires breaking into submission. Because, like, I was discussing this with my friend Ryan, bless her heart, honestly. I really was not being mindful of how insensitive I was coming across. But, like, there are so many places now where you can protest and it doesn't actually do anything. Where people might have ideas, good ideas, about what they would like to see happening, and at best, it just gets stonewalled, and at worst, you get arrested and abused for unlawfully speaking your mind or something. Like, what even is the point of existing in a place or state if you cannot even speak up about how you want your own home and life to look like? Like, we need to be taking our power back. Like, does anyone want to try ringing up the Scottish? See if they're willing to share their bagpipes with us? Because honestly, I feel like when there is an instance of speaking up is going to get me hunted down by the police state and the government, that's not a democracy anymore. Heck, that's not even a country. That's just some sort of mass organ harvesting farm where they institutionalize your undervalued labor and whatever else they can get out of you. And just because things might not be that bad where you live personally, that doesn't mean it should just be disregarded. Like, how would you like things to be run if it were all up to you? Because honestly, I'm starting to think maybe this poison ivy here in this fan art I'm creating wasn't too far off the mark.